hate being frugal. And it's not because I chose it as a lifestyle. This is who I am. It's a way of life for me. It's part of my personality. And I wish that I knew how many of you are out there that is sort of in the same boat as me, because this is still a small channel, right? There's not a lot of comments. There's not a lot of views yet, and of course this is going to grow, and then in the future I'll know this, but I wish I knew now, because I've gone on YouTube videos a lot, and I've gone and looked at them, and I find that most people that talk about frugality and living a frugal life, they choose it as a lifestyle. It's because they can see the benefits. And by all means, like, I can see the benefits. I know the benefits. I live it every day of being frugal, right? There's a lot of crows on this roof. Where I live, there's so many crows, which is crazy. Anyway, so I know the benefits. I live it, and I love the benefits. That's probably why I don't mind necessarily being a frugal person, right? But there's lots of situations where the negatives outweigh the positives by far. And I can't find people on YouTube that talk about that. Like one or two maybe that's spoken about like the negative stuff about being frugal. And I made a video about a week ago where I go into detail about, like, I give you a bit more insight into my life as a frugal person, the positives, the amount of money that I can save, the memories that I can make because of that. And then I also talk about the negatives. And I feel like sometimes, very seldomly, but sometimes, the negatives just outweigh the positives of being a frugal person so far, especially in social situations. Okay. And this is sort of what I want to talk about today. I have a strategy, right? I have a very, very effective strategy that I found a few years ago when I went to a therapist about this problem, and she gave this strategy to me. And I mentioned it a little bit, like I quickly mentioned it in the previous video, but I want to go into detail about this strategy because I really believe, and I believe that this strategy will help anybody that gets into a trigger situation, not just about frugality, but any trigger situation, like anger, frustration, fear, I don't want to say depression, I'll rather say like sadness, stuff like that, this method that I have is so effective for all of that. And I really believe that it's helpful for you guys out there. And that's why I've made this video specifically, right? Now I call this method the bubble method. And it basically says that when you know that you are going to go into a trigger situation, a situation that is going to trigger these unwanted feelings, these negative thoughts, these anger, the feelings of anger and frustration. You put that evening or that event in a bubble, and whatever happens in that bubble, it stays in that bubble, right? And so when you wake up, or when your life then resumes after this bubble, the things that happened, the feelings that you felt, the strategies that you used in that bubble is negated. It's a lot less powerful afterwards. And so you don't feel that what's the word now? The long-lasting effects of it as strongly as you would have if you didn't have that bubble. Okay, let's say for example, okay, this is a video about being frugal. So let's do the first example about being frugal. Okay, let's say you are a frugal person like myself, and there's a concert. Let's make it a Green Day concert because I love Green Day. Okay, there's a Green Day concert. It's in your hometown, and you want to go, like you're going with your friends because you are not a stingy person, you're not a cheap person. There's a difference between stingy and cheap. In my other video, go check it out. You are a frugal person. You are willing to spend money on making memories. It's fine for you, okay? But it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have these negative feelings about spending money that you necessarily don't want to do, Right, so you're going to this concert. You know, number one, the tickets are bloody expensive, right? Okay, so you've already paid the tickets. Number two, you know that probably have to take a taxi there, which you normally don't take, because you're going to drink, all right? You get there, you're going to drink a lot of beers, a lot of gin and tonics or whatever, and those beers and drinks will be double the price normally of what you normally pay at a bar or wherever, all right? You're going to get hungry, so you have to buy food. Food is going to be double the price, all right? Then afterwards, you're going to have to take another taxi, or maybe you go to a bar, so it's more money, blah, blah, blah. You're spending money, all right? Okay. That, you know, is a trigger situation, but you still want to go because you are frugal, not stingy, okay? So what you do is you say, whatever happens, whenever I get these negative or these fearful feelings about spending money, spending way much more money, I ask myself, is this really going to affect my life tomorrow? If I spend double the amount for a beer, is it really going to affect tomorrow? No, it's not. Like one beer or this amount of money is not going to affect your money, your life tomorrow. And immediately, that decision, that recognition that you make takes the power away from that fear, that feelings. And all of a sudden, you can buy that without feeling as bad. And the next time you now want to buy food or whatever, you have to pay a taxi, you ask yourself the same thing. Like, if I get this taxi, is it really going to make such a big difference? Like, is it really going to change my life tomorrow when I get out of this bubble? The answer is going to be no, most of the time. And then it takes it down. And the next morning you wake up and you're like, oh shit, I spent so much money, but okay, it wasn't that bad because the feelings aren't now that strong a day afterwards. You didn't bring all that baggage with you. That baggage is in the bubble. It stays in the bubble. Doesn't matter how you felt, it's in the bubble. All right. So that is how I deal with a stressful situation with my frugality, right? But like I said, this is such a powerful technique to use, and you can use it in any trigger situation. Let's say, for instance, you know that you are a person that gets frustrated and angry very quickly. Like there's certain things that happens and you always overreact and you hate it. You hate overreacting like that, right? You don't want to be an asshole to other people. And so you're like, okay, normally I do this when we have meetings. We have meetings at work. I hate having meetings. It's a waste of time. It's stupid. You're already getting angry. You tell yourself, listen, this is a trigger situation. So I'm going to put this meeting in a bubble. And so when you go into that bubble, people are talking, people are going off point, you're wasting time, you're sitting there, now your blood's boiling. And you ask yourself, can I change this situation? Can I control? Can I make these people talk less? Can I make these people stop having this meeting? Answer's going to be no, because you're not the boss, you know? And immediately, because you recognize, you acknowledge those feelings, the power goes away from them and you are able to relax, right? And then again, like people are now talking about their children and their dogs. You're like, this is not supposed to be in a fucking meeting, right? And you're like, when I step out of this meeting and I'm angry and I'm frustrated and I'm carrying these emotions with me, are these people even going to know how I'm feeling? Is it even going to affect them? Answer is going to be no. And you're like, calm down, relax. And you step out of that bubble, all of a sudden, all that feelings, all that frustration has been watered down and you kept it in that bubble and you're feeling a lot better, all right? Let's do one more, last one. You are a person, a very anxious person, a very fearful person, especially maybe when you go into a new situation, an unfamiliar situation, or you don't like to speak be in big crowds, be speaking in front of a lot of people. But now you're flying to a new country, or you have to do a presentation in front of the company members or whatever. And now you know this is going to be, I'm going to be stressful, I'm going to cry probably, I'm going to maybe freeze up, I don't want to do this. What do? Put it in a bubble. Now you go into that thing, you're standing in front of these people, you're sweating, your palms, you're your jaw is tight, and you're like, what if I have a little bit more confidence? What if I decide not to be this fearful? Is it going to change anything about this situation? Is it going to change? Am I going to make a fool of myself? Am I going to be overconfident? What's going to happen? Nothing. You're either going to make a fool of yourself, but it's in that situation, it's in that bubble, so those feelings are already watered down. It's already less powerful. So when you do make a fool of yourself, you step out of that bubble, it's happened. Or you're going to be able to talk in front of those people because you're not as fearful. You've acknowledged this fear. You've seen what it is. It's trying to control you. And you put it in that bubble. You leave it in that bubble. You decide that I don't want to feel this way. I don't want to feel fearful. I don't want to feel anxiety. So let's not push it away, but let's just acknowledge it and let it go. Let it float away. And then I can talk and I can experience these new things. That is the power of this bubble situation. And I spoke a lot about acknowledging feelings, acknowledging things now. And I'm going to start a whole new series now after this video about mindfulness. Mindfulness is such a broad concept, but it is something that changed my life forever. And that's why I want to speak about it, but there's so much to speak about. So it's going to be a few videos. But yeah, guys, remember this next time that you are in a trigger situation and you feel this way. All right. As always, I'm going to end off on positive, so positivity corner. That's what I call it. Don't know if it's a good name, but I just call it that. My positivity this day is actually something that I'm grateful for, right? If you've listened to my 2 previous videos, you would have realized that I speak, 3 previous videos, you would have known that I speak about, I'm an expat and we travel a lot, right? And I just want to say that I am so grateful for the privilege of being able to travel so much, because I know, goodness, there's so many of them. I know how privileged I am to be able to travel around, specifically Asia, but the world. Like, there's so many people that don't have that. So many people that don't have that opportunity. They don't have the money, they don't have the time, they don't have the opportunities. And I do, and I'm so grateful for this life and this opportunity that I have to do something like travel and see the world. So that's mine. Comment. Tell me, what do you think about this strategy, the bubble method? Tell me what you're grateful for. Put it in the comments. Let's build this community. Like I said, I want this to be bigger. It's just a small channel still, but I need this community. That sounded very desperate. I want this community. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.